Hey Zach, let me go ahead and demo where we're at right now with all the software the way it is now, just to give you a chance to see what's going on. So this is a first part demo. Okay, it's going to cover a whole lot in a quick hurry. So let's say I up and bought a server and then I upgraded to the latest settings like version 78 for WHM, and then I went and made sure I was on Easy Apache 4, got that updated. Then I went through and set up all my PHP settings where I want. PHP 7.1 is where the current templates are on. And then I went up to MySQL and raised the version to the latest, run MariaDB 10.2, which will not expire for another 3 years. And then when we upgrade to 10.3, it shouldn't be a big deal because it's just a small version of a small grade update, right? 10.3, not 11.0. All right, having said that, just real quick to show you, the kind of templates that we do now are different than what we had before, right? The styling is just as good as it can be and as good as anybody would want it to be. Anything that you do or don't want in the way of new templates, we can do things now that are really, really awesome. This is pretty cool, and then watching things move along and so on. It's just a question of what you like. But what I mean to say there would be like, there's one, here's another, and this is a totally different idea. If we take a look at this, okay, one thing when you scroll down is you start to see that this is overlaying the banner image. It's just nicer, outright nicer. And you keep coming down and everything's just really, really clean. Very cool. Watch the numbers appear the way they do. It's kind of neat. They come and hover. Look at this. This is a pretty cool effect. I really like that. Okay. And then you get to the rest of it. Anyway, I'm going to bore you with that. I'm just showing you in case you guys have any interest in modernizing some of your templates. I really don't know. Because sooner or later, guys might care. Okay. So having said that, pretty darn cool. And yeah, it's all outfitted with admin functionality. We can run it. We can run it automatically, remotely. Okay. So I've explained that the server is totally updated, latest server software. It's really hard for a virus to beat what we have right now, and yet we can control it remotely. We can control all our websites remotely. So what would I do at this point? I got my server updated. Let's say I'm going to install some templates. Now what I'm going to do is use the templates you're used to, the banner and the blocks versions. Okay, and so we're going to wind up installing something that looks like this. Okay. Garbage, right? Default settings, no images, just everything the way it is. Then, and just dummy settings from the original one that we put up, which we're obviously going to overwrite. And so I'm just going to show you how quickly we can do that across very many. So let's start with the idea that we didn't even have any domains in the list. Okay, if we went to list accounts, there'd be nothing there except for, t2ha.com. What would be the first step? Well, you'd buy domains. So you figure out your list of domains and go to GoDaddy or wherever and go ahead and buy them. You guys know how to do that. There's nothing to show you there. Then what would I do? I'd want to create the cPanels for them. And so I'm going to create that list, right? Because I'm going to do this with Software Installer since I have a function there that does this. So I just need to say what the name of the server is for each one. Could be the same or different servers. What the password is, which is obviously not really that. The domains I just bought. I come up with something I want for the username, drag it down to create unique usernames that are all in this cluster of sites that I'm doing now. That's my way of doing it. Do it however you want. And then cPanel password, something that I can use and I can either change it or make it the same, whatever I like. Okay, give it whatever the package name would be that you would have on WHM to say something like you allow unlimited add-on domains, subdomains. And then whatever you wanted for your contact email address. And that's pretty much it. I go ahead and highlight the array. Things are moving so fast on the server now that if I go and I paste this into Software Installer for setup cPanels right here, okay, and I'm not generating usernames, I say go, it's going to create one about every second, okay? So when it runs, it's going to get all this done in like a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes, okay? So like, how many are we doing? Like 90 something. Okay, so that would be this. Yeah, 92. Okay, so there's 92 websites done in 3 minutes anyway, Having said that, now what? Now we take the list from the middle, right? We have the domain name, the username, and the password. Okay, so that's our third step. we would just copy that, paste it in, and then mark it cPanel in every case so that we can put that through Software Installer is what I would do, right? That way I just add it to my Software Installer list and say, hey, this, I'm going to batch upload. These are really mine and I really have access to them. So this will take seconds to add it to the system. And then that way I can use Software Installer to bulk upload the templates, okay? So then the fourth thing I would do, I would start by making sure my template's in the file repository. It's just the way I want to make that happen. So let's say I put out our banner and blocks. And then in banner and blocks, let's say banner. So I have the zip file with all of the banner files. And then I have the SQL database, the dummy database, okay? So I want to install that combination into each cPanel to create the database and the database user, the password, to set the permissions, to link it to the database, to upload the SQL data. I want it to happen all by itself automatically. You guys know that. You guys either do that or you know how it's done, or you know how we do it anyway. And so, yeah. So I've got my server. In this case, it's not a server. It just means a top-level domain. And then if I had add-on domains, I'd have them in this list, but it's really going to be the same. So this is the same information. Then when I go installing these, that's what I'm doing. I'm installing a template row by row by row to each of these websites. I am not going to put them on a subdomain, so subdomain remains blank. I'm going to have some kind of a database user and name, and I'm going to drag that down to create the numbering scheme for the user and the name, and then the pass could be the same or different. Of course, these are dummy bits of information, but you get the point. So since I'm creating separate cPanels here, I did already, they're different cPanels. The database username and pass could be the same for all of them or different. Just depends on how you want to handle security. Then what? Then I'm going to upload that zip file and that SQL file, right? That was easy because from my file repository, okay, I can copy the path to my SQL file. I can copy the path to my zip file, and it's there. I just paste it into my Excel file, right? And then after I paste it, then I can just take it and drag it all the way down. Okay, same with the SQL file. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to install the exact same template every time. Doesn't mean I have to. I could go banner blocks, banner blocks, banner blocks, banner blocks, right? There you go. So now what? User pass. This is to log in. You know that. Security key. Believe it or not, the security key is in use. It's something you can totally use to shortcut logging in. You don't have to log in if you have the security key at all, like ever, to the cPanel, to any of them. Okay, there goes my email address for if I forgot the password, I can have it sent to me. And of course, the connection file name is going to be connection.php. That's the default, right? So then I would just highlight this, okay? That's my next array. I've got 3 arrays I'm highlighting basically, right? And going to go back to Software Installer. So first I did it for cPanels. I put an array in there. And then I did it when I went to the website list so that I could batch upload a whole bunch of new websites into the system so I have access to them. Finally, this is the last thing I'll do in Software Installer. I'm going to paste this in for batch installation, right? And have it literally process the data and start installing those templates. That's going to give me all these, the same thing over and over and over again. Totally the same, right? And I know that. I'm expecting that. But there you go. That's how far I'm going to get. So it's going to install these at the rate of about every 20 seconds. It'll install new ones, so like 3 a minute. So it'll do, half an hour or so. It'll install all the templates, the base templates to all those websites. Okay? So far, so good. So far, we understand what's going on. So really, the time for this was pretty easy. This is just, a few minutes, followed by a few minutes to create the cPanels, a few minutes to add it to the software installer, a minute even, couple, and then this, okay, for actually installing these things. And that's just going to be about 30 minutes or so, okay, and it'll be done. It'll be done. So now that's done, like I said, I have all these oddball things. Now that's where the magic of feed files gets to come in, because now we get to actually use our own tool to start updating the information for all these websites. So let me walk you through what that means. Okay. And yeah, this is how you would look after that. You would have like however many websites. I've got 97 here. 92 are the ones I'm using. Haven't been using the original 5 that you guys gave us. Just haven't. But there you go. So if I do a search for lock on here, it's giving me all those, right? So it's all set up. Everything's done. Okay, so far so good. You know, less than an hour, and we've come how far? We've come to this point for every one of our websites. You know, 90 odd websites, 95. In like 1 hour of thought, maybe 2, if you start with figuring out the domain names. Okay, fine. Now what? Let's forget all this stuff. Let's just move on. Okay, we have something called the Varsheet installer. It started off being about installing the feed files, really, and it just grew from there into lots of extra tools that we totally love because they allow us to control everything. Okay, let's just start with a couple of things. One is feed files. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and delete the ones that were in here already because we don't need them. Okay, and here's what I will do. I will take a look at what I want to do. So I set up the before instance. Now I'm going to do the after. After is where you would start. You would say, let's start adjusting those websites. Now I want to point out what this is. You'll recognize some of these file names. There's like typography. Baseline settings is like your theme settings and your general settings. Then this is all the base global variables, that tab. Then there's sidebar and pages. Don't ask me why I put those 2 sections together. I just did. Images and videos, testimonials, and then of course, what's the master? It's the combination of all of those into one big file. So why would I have one big file here and then a bunch of separate ones there? Because I know how you guys work. You may very well have some people working on this, other people working on that, other people working on that. So they're each going to turn their work in at different times. My point in that case is, you don't even need to make a master file. You could just delete the master file, pretend there never was one. You can literally upload each section as it comes in, okay? Or if you are combining them all into one big fat file, then you'll just upload that big fat file all at once. And that's pretty much what this is. The master here is all of the tabs from the other files. So I'll just show you what I mean. If I upload typography, okay, I see this. I have my subdomains list page. Okay, there you go. You recognize it. Theme name, banner, root domain, where we're going to install it to. And the only thing you don't recognize is domain type. It's new. We added this. Domain type means on or off, so 1 or 0. It means when we upload this whole file, if this is 1, it will do the job on that row. What job? The job on these tabs down here. In other words, it will act on that row. Okay. If it's 0, it will ignore the row and just continue on. So if you ever wanted to do sampling, you know, just double check before you run a big process out. Set everything to 0 except for the top 3. You know, run it, and that way, once it proves itself correct, then you can come back and change it all to 1 and run the whole thing. Okay. No big deal. And yeah, you can overrun what you did over and over and over again. It doesn't matter. So what do I have here? I have theme style and typography for every one of those websites. So it goes from there down to row 94, right? So it's different theme style and typographies. Can I mix and match this stuff however I want? Yeah, look at this. These are totally different fonts, right? This is, you know, like font, body weight. It could be like normal, bold, normal, bold, normal, bold, normal, italic, normal, italic, normal, 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 italic, normal, italic, 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 you know, whatever you want. So you could play around with this all you felt like playing around with it. You know, this is your typography page. You guys understand the point, right? But this is literally one row for each different website, okay? So if I upload this, okay, then I will affect the typography settings of all of those websites. Even if I'm not doing anything with the images or anything else, anything with the information at all, the typographies will change, okay? How would I do that? Just by using the feed files uploader. I'm gonna import a feed file. When I click that green button, I can choose a file. So I would choose the file by choosing the file. Literally, I just take it out, close that. Okay, I don't have any changes to I need. Okay, let me go ahead and close these. No. And I'll close, and I'll close, and I'll close. Okay, I would take this and just drag it. Now, if I want to see how long it takes, I can right-click in here and hit Inspect. And I can go to Network. And now when I run it, it will give me a log of how long each thing that happens on the page takes, right? That way you can see how long things take. Do you really need to? Of course not. Why would you do it? I don't know, troubleshooting. Or just for sheer curiosity. Okay, let me not do that though, because I can do more. So what about my baseline settings? Let's take a look at what I'm doing there. Okay, I just want to make this point because all of a sudden this will connect, right? Same thing now, subdomains list, exactly the way you expect. Banner for the first column, whatever the domain is going to be the same list. And then probably I want to affect all of them so they're all set to 1, okay? I don't need to put anything else in here. I'm done, okay? That's all I need. Now, general settings, there you go. This is where I'm adding the stuff that I did not have before, right? I'm all the stuff that I would be putting. Probably I put it in a one website and then downloaded it just to get all the tabs at play with all the coding in it. And now I can use it for all my other websites too, right? Drag and drop, use the row filler. You guys know how this stuff works, right? The row filler and so on, just to, get all your stuff in here, okay? Really efficient. And then the theme options, okay? Hey, let's say this. For my final, I wanted to mix and match. So fluid layout, box layout, fluid box. What I do, I just changed it and then dragged it down maybe. Then what? Enable the sidebar. Yeah, I want the sidebar to always be on, but I want it to go right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left. In other words, random, right? So that it doesn't always match whether it's fluid or box. Then how many widgets do you want? I don't know. I don't care. I just left it too. Should we turn on the Google Translator toolbar at the top of the page? It's an ugly thing, but it's functional. It's just a question of whether you want it on or not. So I want 1010. Now, when you have it on, do you want the Google Translate button to show up on the right, center, or left? Mixed and matched, right? Enable the header, yeah, sure. Company name, yeah, sure. Company address, yeah, sure. Company, can you mix and match the way these things are supposed to be presenting? Keyword serving, city, state stuff, and then something else down here? Sure, of course. Of course, you can mix and match them however you want. But think about it. These are the front pages that you're messing with of each website, okay? So that's pretty cool because you're literally able to control your variability for the front pages of all 92 websites right here in this one motion. So I can mix and match everything I want running across here. I came up with some other mix and match things like the menu navigation, show up on the right, center, or left, right? Simple things like that. Banner, slider, and so on. Again, you can decide all the stuff you want to use, all the variables you want to use, and run it all the way across. So that's what I did. So you get the idea. If I upload this particular feed file, it will affect the general settings of all the 92 websites and the theme option settings of all the 92 websites without affecting anything else. It will not touch typography. It will not touch the global variables. It will just do its own job. And it will be really, really fast. Typography upload takes like a minute, 1.1 minutes for any one of these things all by themselves, including the base global variables. By the way, in case you're wondering, we do productions now that are insanely large. If we do them, they can be as high as 1,750 base global variables, which we find works. Okay, so this particular one, the global variables themselves, what do we have here? 860. Okay, this whole thing uploads to all the websites together, forming the main global variables. Okay, the main one in each website. And in 1.1 minutes, if you just upload this, you will actually create those 860 global variables into 92 websites in a minute. 1.1 minutes. Or quicker, maybe. If you have a faster computer, what do I know? But then that means you can actually make changes to these as well. Decide website by theme to HTML, design by website installer. You can mix and match all of the stuff you want all the way down. You can treat it like they're bulk variables, so that you can get the front page of every website to be different on purpose. Paste in your city list, your state list, your phone numbers, your company names, and so on, going down here. However you want to do it. Okay, 92 companies, and you're uploading them all in no time. Okay, and you can make changes and re-upload. By the way, do they all have to be the same? No. This guy right here, row 22, here, that could have half as many global variables, a third as many pages, half as many sidebar widgets as everything else. It is totally up to you. Literally every row is unique as you want. Now what? Okay, sidebars and pages. I mean, all this you kind of get, right? I'm sort of opening these and showing you, but you pretty much get the idea. We can go from a little information to a lot. We can add more stuff in. You can have different numbers of pages. I have what? 28 pages here altogether, right? Do I really need 28 pages in every case? Of course not. This row could have 150 pages, while the next row could have 8. Literally up to you, exactly, row by row, what you're going to use, right? And all your global variables are there just in case you're going to use them. And so it's totally up to you where things go in sidebars, which modules you use on the page, which widgets you use on the page, what order you put them in. Totally up to you. How you handle the sidebar widgets for each of those websites right here in one spot for all of them. How many widgets do you want? Does it need to be the same for all the websites? Of course not. Every row is unique. You can go more widgets, fewer widgets, different order of widgets. You can control all of that right here, right now for those 92 websites before you ever upload this thing. Okay. So if you had all these guys hand this in, you might use it to build your master. Remember, the master, if you think about the size of it, it's pretty much the compilation of the rest. So I'm just going to show you real quick, just to make sure you get that instant recall. It's really obvious what this would have to be. So there's our subdomains list, which again, we can choose to act or not act on any combination of these websites. You know, for the amount of time it takes to do all of them, which is like 8 minutes if you have all the tabs in here, it'll take like 8 or 9 minutes maybe to update 92 websites, okay? If you only enabled 3 of them and the rest were set to 0, then when you upload this, it'll be done in seconds because it'll only do 3 websites. And then it'll skip all the rest and say, hey, we're done, okay? So just so you know, I've got my general settings for every one of those websites, all of them, okay? Got my theme option settings for all of them. My totally different typography settings for all of them. Whatever I want with the pages for all of them. My sidebar widgets for all of them. My global variables for all of them, no matter how much the same or different they are, okay? Testimonials. I have a few testimonials. I happen to have the same testimonials every single time right now. Only because, you know, I didn't get testimonials done, so I didn't pay attention to it. Image category. How many different image categories do you want? You know, and then image gallery. How many items do you want there? And yeah, you can use variables and all this stuff. Videos. Same thing now. Like, do you want to upload YouTube videos? That would be the code for the video, for YouTube videos, okay? And then what did you want for the title and the description? And should you enable it or not? It's up to you, you know? So there's one video, and then the next one, and the last one. And again, these could be mixed and match, and they can use variables, global variables, all throughout the information here. So you can totally decide. Okay, this URL list, this is nothing. I just manually added this myself so that I could open some of these domains and see how they look after I'm done. So, having said that, okay, I set up a small, stack just so we could see what they look like just now. All right, let's go ahead and actually do this, right? Let's run it up. Okay, so I'm going to close this thing. That's my file, master locksmith feed file. Master meaning for all of the feed files for the whole stack of websites here. Obviously, different websites, you can treat them differently. If I have two industries and they're all using Banner, yeah, I can have my locksmith websites and my GDR websites and my air duct and my carpet cleaning and my flooding and my mold cleanup and my HVAC. I can have them all on a single file and take care of all of those hundreds of websites with that one file and update them all the same exact way. Because think about it. I mean, you know how feed files work. If I make changes in the feed file and re-upload, I've affected all those pages in those ways. And variables, including nested variables, you can do that now. Variables within variables, even on your global variables sheet, in the wording, like if you have a paragraph, you can have variables in the paragraph that are other variables on that same sheet, and it will work, okay? Huge value add. All right, so how do we deal with it? We go to feed files. Okay, we're there. We're going to import, and I'm just going to do it, okay? It's time for the fun. Let's fix all those websites. And before we do it, before I hit import, okay, I'm going to hit inspect and network, just so that we can see how long it takes to update this website and that one 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 and, a bunch, right? Like all 92. I don't have all 92 tabs open. It's just too many tabs to bother with, but we can spot check when we're done. So my real point here is just how long will this take, okay? And how's it going to look in the end? Keep in mind, it'll look a little bit funny because I just did random left, right, center, box versus fluid. And I didn't pay attention to the background color of the web page because I never use box hardly. So it's always fluid basically. So yeah, it'll look a little funny, but you'll see exactly what's going on in the fact that it's all totally controllable. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit the button. And it's starting the actual work. A status of 200 means that job is done properly. Some things that you have this do, like run var sheets for you to generate bulk results. It'll do them site by site, and it'll literally show you the status for each different one, how long it took each different time. All right, this will run for some minutes, okay, to affect all these sites. So I'm just going to go ahead and pause it, walk off, get some coffee, may as well. I'll check back here in, 8 or 10 minutes, and we'll just see where we're at. Okay, see you soon. Hey guys, okay, sorry, I came back a little late. I hit the page, came back, internal server error, but that's my own fault. Okay, it did complete the job properly, I'm sure. Anyway, we're 15 minutes and 14.9 minutes it took to complete the job. So just to be clear, what I'll do is this. I'm going to go back to the main page, okay? Now here, let's see if it did it, right? 15 minutes for 92 websites, right? Okay. There you go. Look at that. And everything's here, okay? Looks right. At least looks the way we meant for it to look, okay? Yeah, everything's working. None of this was working, right? I could have scrolled down. Everything was empty and broken. I think I did scroll down on one of them. None of this was here. None of this was working. It was all busted up. There was only like 2 sidebar items total. And so I added the rest of the sidebar items. We added all of the global variables. All the pages appeared. Everything is here. Everything works. Okay. We can, call this done. Okay. And it's totally up to us how we run it. Now, there's your Google Translate bar, by the way. That was the idea. Like, if I'm going to translate it to Persian, you can translate it to Persian, right? Whatever. Okay, having said that, close up. Okay. yeah, these click through. They go where they're supposed to go. These click through, and they got the all codes. Everything here that came off the feed file, right? All right, let's just check out the next website, right? There you go. Again, a lot of it looks the same. It really is a question of just how varied we make things. But as you know, feed files, you know how feed files work. So you completely understand how this is done, right? So there you go. Boxed, fluid, whether the toolbar is at the top or not, whether it's centered or not, whether the navigation is centered left, right, or otherwise. Okay. All of this is totally however it is that we wanted it done, right? And literally which sidebar items, so whether the sidebar is on the left or the right, everything is just a question of what we selected for it. Okay. There you go. Sidebar's over here now, right? Literally, it's up to us. What icons, everything. You guys know how this works, okay? I think you get the point. We can make these all different titles for the menu bars because we can use global variables for the names of the menus, okay, on the pages. Literally on the page, right? And we can use everything the way we want to make all these pages work. By the way, all of these images are totally unique to each website. We built them for each website, but they're based on 4 images. They're literally 4 images, except they're not. We made thousands. Notice how different they are, and yet notice how they seem to melt because they're using the right color scheme. See that? See that? So let me start at the beginning and make that point clear again. Okay, if I come back to where the images are, because we think images are just as important as wording. We have different shapes like this one, okay, which is very different than that. Well, a little different. And what else? I mean, every single one of these websites is using different shape combinations and obviously different colors on the shapes. Okay? See the colors here? All of this is embedded in the image. This over here glided down, and yeah, there's nothing in there. I need to go fix that. But guess what? You know how easy it is to fix now? I'll just make the change in the master feed file and then just re-upload it. 15 minutes later, all my websites are resolved. Everything and all the subdomains, if there were there, I can have them all resolved immediately and use all the right variables for every single case. Okay? So, yeah, I mean, look at that. That is embedded in the image. So these images are different, okay? They are actually different. We have different styles, different colors, different verbiage, and we can auto-generate these about 10,000 an hour, okay? And so we can make enough unique images for all of our websites, and we can make those images use whatever color combinations from the websites in such a way that the images look like they belong to each different website. Even though it's just 4 images, there's an auto locksmith image, a residential locksmith image, a commercial locksmith image, an emergency locksmith image. But everything, look at that, it's all working the way it's supposed to, okay? The way you would expect it to. What do I want to say now? We can generate 250 subdomains for each of these websites, and you know how that works. Say you got 20 or 40 pages or 120 pages, however many pages you got. Maybe you got pages for all your zip codes or who knows what. Okay, and you're going to want to generate a bunch of subdomains. You guys know how to do it, so what about now? We can generate those subdomains, and I can generate 250 subdomains that have all those pages in them. Let's say there are 20 pages, okay? Well, then I'm generating 5,000 pages for each website. Every time I do the 250 subdomains, if I did 250 for every single website, we can do that at the rate of 1 second per website once we map out the original var sheet file so that when we hit it, it creates random combinations for each different website. It sticks with the right information for the company name, phone number, and everything else, okay? But otherwise, it totally creates random variations the way it's supposed to, the way we mapped it out, so that you get completely different results. We also build another control in. So if we go uploading more, we can decide if they're supposed to overwrite or add on to. So if we already created 250 subdomains and then we want to do more, we can say start the ID number at 251 and create the next 250. And it'll do 250 more. In other words, from 251 to 500. So it'll add. So that means that we can put up pages that are different each time around. By the way, can we make all these inner images different? Yeah. Can I do it later? Like, now that I did all this work to get all this to happen, what if I want to replace those images? It's not hard either. Generate my inner images. I'll even show you what I mean just to give you the idea. So like, for instance, base images. Somewhere I've got like inner images, base images. See these? These are the 4 images. These are it. These are the only 4 images that we used. And we burn different verbiage and styles with colors into these 4 to create totally different, unique images. That way they always do their job of selling. And yet they're totally different images. I checked with a guy who works at Amazon, mid-level management there. And yeah, that's how they do it at Amazon. They do the same thing I was just showing you. See that? This is a different image than its counterpart here. And Google will consider it a different image. Not just that, but for every subdomain now, the way I map this out, I can have different alt code for each different kind of image. I can literally map a separate alt code to each image. How's that for cool? That way each image only has one alt code. Google likes that. It likes seeing lots of unique images as well as one alt code per image. Stuff like that. How's that for crazy? So yeah, I mean, I'm just walking you through this, right? This took no time, right? It took really no time. The generation of the images is an hour, okay? Putting the rest of this together was a couple of hours. Writing out the content and then creating variability out of it, a couple of hours, right? Everything we ever did for you before that took us so long to do, okay? All of the work it took originally to create variability, right? It's done, right? We can, for variability now, it's done. All right. That's pretty crazy. I think you get the point, okay? Now, even with themes, we can use that as a variable and we can cycle between these themes. So you could have one website and every different subdomain used each of these different styles on it. Do you want to? Probably not. But can you? Yeah, you can. So even if there's subtle differences, like if you have palm trees for Florida, in the banner images, and then you have furs and gray background for Seattle. You got smog and asbestos flying in the air for New York. Oh boy. Now smog's downwind, right? Isn't that Joyzy? All right. So anyway, I think you get the point. All of this is just however it is that we wanted it set up. And it's totally easy to create randomness as much as we really want. And I can change anything. I can change this one sentence on this one page of this one website. And while I upload any other changes I wanted, without ever logging into this panel, I can switch which images to use in the sidebar. I can switch what the order is for the sidebar, whether it's left or right and everything, without ever logging in to the admin panel. And that goes for literally all of the websites I generate and control. Okay? Crazy. Okay? That's literally it. The amount of time it would take to write the content, using a few copywriters, and the amount of time it takes to create the uniqueness in the images, right? The amount of time it takes to figure out the names for the domains and go buy them. And then just simply put this thing together using variable template colors and styles in the images. We have a generator. We have a banner color generator right here. And what this simple little thing does is create all the variables, the variable typography styles so that we have uniqueness in them. Can you map out what colors you want to use? Yeah, there's a base file that has your repository of combinations for the colors and also for the font families, so that we can auto-generate all those different typographies so that we can mix and match our font families, like certain families for the main page and a separate family for the sidebar. And then, whatever the main color scheme is, just literally really, really fast. So we can create thousands of combinations of colors with font combinations. Literally crazy combinations. And just anytime we want. So we can create literally as much uniqueness to get Google to say this is different than that as we feel like generating. Okay. All right. I mean, a number of things are different here. And some of the things are the same only because I didn't make them different. Could I make all the fonts different? The font sizes, the font colors, and everything else? Sure. Some of them are different fonts. And we could throw in more, obviously. More fonts here. I mean, they're all different in their own ways, right? Whatever they are. Whatever we wanted to roll with. So yeah, Google can see as much uniqueness as we feel like handing them. And internal to the content and everything else. Okay, I think you get it as far as that goes. I'm going to do another video real quick where I just show you more of the functions. So far, what did I show you? How feed files works. What about some of these other things, right? Let's just talk about them, right? So I'll go ahead and do that in a separate video.